Hello everybody, here we are continuing on with our NHL season previews, and in this one we're going to be covering the Edmonton Oilers and talking about can the league's oldest team go on to win the Stanley Cup. So before we get started with it, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So the Edmonton Oilers ended up finishing with 104 points on the year and were one win away from winning their first championship since 1990. And in this case, they were down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup final to the Florida Panthers. They made it to Game 7 only to see their fairy tale run come to an end as the Panthers go on to win their first championship. That is heartbreaking for a team that was trying to end their Stanley Cup drought as well as Canada's Cup drought, but it's the way it goes. And I think the weird thing about the Edmonton Oilers is despite the fact they've been able to go on multiple deep runs in the past few years and were one win away from winning the Stanley Cup, I actually think I'm more intrigued by the roster they have this year compared to last season, as they had a big trade and an under-the-radar potential signing that I feel like I could be a really big fan of. So with all that kind of being brought up so far, what are some storylines to talk about for this season? So the first storyline is, will the Matt Savoy trade pay off for the Oilers? This was a trade we never really truly got to cover, as I think it came out at a weird time, and by the time I realized the trade had happened, it had been a long time. But looking at this deal, you see Matt Savoy traded from Buffalo to Edmonton, and this one felt very, very odd. In recent years, the Buffalo Sabres have been able to draft a lot of high-end talent, and they have a lot of young forwards in this team that are hoping to sink their teeth into the NHL, get a lot of opportunities, and be part of this Buffalo side that a couple years ago was high-scoring, dangerous, really fun. And Savoy was expected to possibly be part of that group as he was taken in the 2022 draft, 9th overall. So Buffalo clearly saw something in him, but they go out there and make kind of a head-scratcher of a trade as they go out and get Ryan McLeod, and they send Savoy over to Edmonton. Now, truthfully, of course, McLeod was able to be a good player for the Oilers during their playoff run and whatnot, but Savoy feels like the player that could be the real winner here. And for the team that got him in Edmonton, they truly could be the side that pays off in this one. And I don't want to say this is going to be lopsided, but I do feel like the potential for this one to be lopsided could be the case because Savoy's potential is up there, and his ceiling probably is going to be higher than McLeod's. I know there's more to it than that, but you are seeing a younger player that with potential to be a very special player joins a team that went to the Western Conference Final in 2022, and then just recently last year where they went to the Stanley Cup Final and were one win away from winning it. And he is going to be joining a side that hasn't really had trouble scoring goals. They've got plenty of guys who can go out there and score goals for them. He might get to play with some of them. I mean, we're looking at him possibly getting minutes with Connor McDavid. Maybe that would be really ideal, and that would probably set him up for being in contention, if not being a favorite for the Calder Trophy, which all kind of confuses me as to why they end up trading him away, Buffalo that is, after only playing one game with him. But there are a lot of things that I like with this trade for the Oilers. One, he's an Alberta boy, so he would probably be a little bit more inclined to sign an extension to stay with the team if he's able to find success, rather than go out there and venture to a better market in terms of the nightlife and things like that, and the weather. I don't know. Edmonton's got some things where you can go out there and do, and there's a lot of great places to be, but some players are destined to be in Miami's, LA's, and New York. Maybe he's more comfortable staying in Alberta. And on top of that too, this is the team that is the oldest in the NHL by average age and has got a lot of gray in their beard, if you will. So they have the aspirations for now, which is why it's nice to have him, because he helps them possibly be in that win now mode. But in the future, he could be part of the long-term plan, whatever that plan is going to be, which is why I'm especially fond of it. So whether or not this actually ends up being a slam dunk, if you will, for Edmonton, we will go out there and see. But I do want to watch him. I am hoping he gets a decent amount of games this year, hoping he gets good minutes and gets to play with good line mates and could have that big breakout year where Oilers fans can say, yeah, we literally won the lottery with this one. The second talking point is, does Jeff Skinner make the playoffs? Now, we could talk about a variety of other things, but this is my channel. We're going to be talking about Jeff Skinner because I want to. And I think everybody wants to hear a little bit about Jeff. Jeff is a player that won that Calder. He won that, back in 2011, was a top 10 pick in the 2010 draft, and had some really good years, productive years, where he was a goal scorer for not only the Carolina Hurricanes, but the Buffalo Sabres. Were there some bad years in there? Yes, but he is a 6-time goal scorer when it came to 30-goal seasons or more, and then a 10-time scorer when it came to 20-goal seasons or more. I know I worded that very poorly, but you get the gist. He's a guy that is kind of capable of being a goal scorer for you, and joins an Edmonton team that with him and Savoy could be under the radar and be able to feast on some lower quality competition potentially. Looking at a guy like Jeff, maybe it is a little bit risky because what does he do if he performs poorly? I don't know. But I look at it like this. He is a player that is on a cheap one-year deal and is coming off of what, a 24-goal season last year with the Buffalo Sabres. Maybe he's able to fit right in here and be one of those low-risk, high-reward type deals for Edmonton, and he could actually be really motivated to try to make it to the playoffs for the first time, because he played with Carolina, they never made it, played with Buffalo, they never made it, and it's kind of ironic because Carolina ended up doing pretty well right after he left, and Buffalo may be on the verge of that. But looking at a guy like Jeff, you know that he wants to win, and he's now on a team that was in the Stanley Cup final. So if they fail to make the playoffs this year, we know that Jeff Skinner is an absolute curse, but if not, he's going to be able to play in his first playoff game after playing over 1,000 games in the NHL. This is what, like season 14 or 15 for him. He is a guy that does deserve at least one crack at the Cup. And wouldn't it be kind of ironic and fitting, though, if he ends up going out in his first appearance in the playoffs and winning the whole thing? At that point, if it was me, I would retire as a champion. But for Jeff, I have a feeling he'd stick around. So this could be a prove-it deal where he ends up getting more money elsewhere by the end of the year. Maybe he's not even going to finish the year with the team. But I would love to see, if Edmonton were to win it, Jeff scoring some big-time goals during the regular season, especially during the playoffs. How sweet would it be if he had the series-winning goal in the Stanley Cup final after never making it to the postseason? And then the final talking point is one people probably don't like to hear, but I do bring this up from some teams from time to time, and this is whether or not this is Edmonton's last kick at the can. A lot of people have talked about this. I'm not the only one, but they have a lot of deals that are going to be coming up here soon. Leon Draisaitl, free agent. That's been a talking point right now after this season. Connor McDavid, not only after this season, but I think the season after that. So two of your biggest stars, some of the biggest stars in the NHL, free agent this year and then free agent the season after this one. So that hurts. Evan Bouchard, you're going to have to go out and sign him here pretty soon. Not this season, but the season after. Stuart Skinner, another one that comes to mind. And this is where it gets difficult. You have to make some really hard decisions because star players are not cheap most of the time. And making your team competitive with the salary cap is not easy. You can see how it's hard in the NHL to have your stars stay, but also be a competitive team that is capable of being deep and going on deep runs. Unless they take some discounts like we hear about all the time with like the Boston Bruins and, oh, it's a Boston way and whatnot, we could be in a little bit of hurt here if you're an Edmonton fan. And that's why I think they could possibly go one of two ways here, as Edmonton could say, if this is our last chance, we could be really aggressive and try to, just load up for that run to get us over the hump and maybe get us in that spot where we can win it. It's never a guarantee. We see teams before. We talked about Winnipeg already, where they traded to get Monahan. It's void. They're gone. Rentals happen in the NHL. That's just the way it is. But maybe they go that route, or they go another route and they say, we don't want to give up assets. We know that somebody's probably going to have to leave here, and we need to save that money otherwise in other ways and whatnot. I don't exactly know what's going to happen here for the Oilers, because you want to be safe rather than sorry. But for a team that's been close 2 years out of the past 3 seasons and then made it to the second round, in between all that, it would probably be easy to look at this and say we need to go for it all, because what if we don't get another chance like this for another 20, 30 years? Remember where they were at points in the 2010s. They were nowhere close to making the playoffs. They were dreaming about making the playoffs. And even when they did, they were dreaming about making it to the second round before establishing what they've established so far. So overall, what are my thoughts on the Oilers? Well, they've been a team that's been able to get the job done for the past few years, so why shouldn't they this year? They could be in the hunt for the Pacific Division. If not, at the very least, be a playoff team. I fail to see a world where this side, when healthy, doesn't make the playoffs. And I know that seems kind of, maybe ignorant or arrogant, just saying, oh, this team is definitely going to make it. But this side is just too good. They've got a lot of really high-end quality players. They can get hot. They can have runs where maybe defensively they're really good or offensively they're very good. Stuart Skinner can lock in. That's why I'm not afraid to say that they're probably going to make it to the playoffs and make some noise. Now, there are some things that I am a little bit worried about. Is the Cody Ceci, Darnell Nurse pairing going to be very good? I don't know, especially come playoff time. Is Stuart Skinner going to be able to help you actually go on long enough of a run? I don't know, but I do know this. They were one win away from the Stanley Cup championship last year, winning it all last year. And people will say, well, they're not good enough to win with Draisaitl and McDavid and with all the money that's spent and whatnot. They were one win away. They were, a little bit of puck luck away from being able to say, in fact, we were more than good enough to win a championship, the first since 1990. So Edmonton, a team you got to watch. Again, star players, under the radar, guys like Jeff Skinner, Matt Savoy, that could be a very young and up-and-coming player. They've got a little bit of everything this year, and I think this season especially could be more fun than what we've seen from them in the past few years, which has been really fun. So anyway, those are just my thoughts on the Edmonton Oilers this year. What do you think about Edmonton? Do you think that they end Canada's Cup drought? Do they think that they are able to at least make it to another conference final run? Do you think this is their last true kick at the can, as they've got a lot of money to figure out how to split it and all that. So anyway, please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and also please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, check out my playlist for all the other season previews at the end of this video. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, everybody, please make sure to stay safe, have a great night, and Eagle of Hockey, alright. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.